Seth Rollins' group, known as The Vision, has been a part of the WWE since the Raw after WrestleMania back in April. It's been several months since then, and well, many people believe that The Vision has now become the new version of the Judgment Day, where pretty much anytime a member of the Vision gets involved in a match, the rest of them will follow suit, force a disqualification, stand tall by beating everyone else up, and fans are getting real sick and tired of it. But the question is, why? Why is that the case? Well, there are several pieces of evidence that indicate that this could very well be the end of the Vision. First up, Braun Breaker. One thing that we've learned about Braun Breaker, especially from his time in NXT, and I don't know if I ever brought this up here on the channel. Excuse me. I don't know if I ever brought this up on the channel. If I had, then this is a really good way to piggyback off some of the things that I said in a previous video. But if not, then this is the perfect opportunity to bring it up. So first up, again, Braun Breaker. One thing we've learned from Braun Breaker is that from his time in NXT, he was always so unpredictable. No one really knew what his next move was going to be, and for the most part, that was exactly the case. However, he had only been in NXT for only a few months, and he automatically became NXT champion at New Year's Evil. I believe it was at New Year's Evil. I believe it was New Year's Evil 2021, if I remember correctly. And or sorry, no, 2022. 2022 was when he became NXT champion. He defeated arguably one of the most dominant NXT champions of all time, known as Tommaso Ciampa. He defeated Ciampa via submission to finally become the NXT champion. And the weird thing is that his first run as champion was pretty predictable. We knew that at some point he was going to drop the title, but we didn't think that he would drop the title in less than like 3 months. To which he did. He regained the title he regained the title on the Raw after WrestleMania in 2022 in Dallas, and he had such a lengthy reign as champion that fans were ecstatic that Braun Breaker had that lengthy run as NXT champion. But once he dropped the title to Carmelo Hayes in 2023 at Stand and Deliver, fans automatically knew one of two things. It was either A, time for him to move up to the main roster, or he was going to turn heel. Turns out, he ended up turning heel. But for some reason, the heel turn kind of backfired, because he started to have a rivalry, a storyline rivalry with Baron Corbin, and they ended up forming a team known as the Wolf Dogs. And not only did they win the men's Dusty Cup, but they also became NXT Tag Team Champions in the process, which they were actually one of the most unique tag teams that we had in NXT history. I think the other unique team would probably have to be Sanity. either Sanity or the Broserweights, which was Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle. But to be fair, the Broserweights, we knew that it wasn't gonna last long because of COVID, and yeah, it really didn't work out so well. It didn't work out so well. But in that process, the moment they lost the tag team titles to Fraxium, we knew at that point it was time for at least one of them to get called up to the main roster, and it ended up being Braun Breaker. In fact, he got called up to the main roster weeks after they lost the tag team titles. And already, since then, he's now already a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. He's headlined WrestleMania, and even also kicked off SummerSlam weekend by teaming with Bronson Reed against Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Even in spite of the loss, that match proved that he was indeed ready for the main roster. However, once he dropped the title at WrestleMania to none other than Dirty Dom, we knew that it was only a matter of time before he would go after the world title. Nope, Seth Rollins had other ideas, and apparently has decided to bring Braun Breaker into the Vision. This version of Braun Breaker has been 10 times more predictable than he was in NXT. And the thing is that every time we see him in the ring, it's the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Excuse me, forgive me. I'm a little sick to my stomach right now. Not because of the content. It's because last night I literally walked over an hour over to Bear Cave CCG, which is located in Northridge, California, to meet up with the guys in my group chat to play Edison format, which I actually got second place, and I got only one pack, unfortunately. Third place. Sorry, I got third place, and my last opponent was playing Lightsworn, and that was quite the matchup, to say the very least. So I apologize. My stomach has turned a little bit, so forgive me. Whew. Okay, moving on. I think I can do this. Anyway, with this version of Braun Breaker, he's been 10 times more predictable than ever before. Every time he gets in the ring, the fans always know, we all know what his next move is. Attack people from behind, and then just spear everybody going 23 miles an hour. It's the same bullshit over and over and over again. And it's the same thing with Bronson Reed. When he first started out in NXT, he was one of the hottest prospects in NXT history, and within I want to say 8 months, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's 8 months. Oh my god, I don't remember exactly when he debuted, because I know that he was in NXT around 2019. So I want to say about 8 months, 8 to 9 months into sorry, maybe a year or two. I don't remember. But within a period of time, with his time in NXT, he instantly became the NXT North American Champion, defeating Johnny Gargano in a steel cage, which his run as champion, it worked out. It worked out, and it was working. The babyface run of Bronson Reed, it was working perfectly. However, due to some unique circumstances with the pandemic, you guys all already know that he got released from WWE because of the pandemic. to be fair, at least to be fair, ever since WWE went back on the road full time, the night before Money in the Bank, there were at least three dozen at least 3 staff members, which included commentators, backstage interviewers, talent, referees, camera crew, production staff from WWE HQ literally got released because of COVID, which it is what it is. But there was one person from that batch that never should have been released, and that's Mike Chioda. Arguably one of the greatest referees in WWE. The dude knew exactly what the hell he was doing. He should have stayed. He should have stayed, but we did find out earlier this year that he chose to retire, which congrats to Mike Chioda on such an incredible run as a referee. Maybe Hall of Fame, who knows? But Bronson Reed ended up being one of those guys because he got released in 2022, and we knew that it was bound to happen at some point. But he came back less than a year. I want to say less than a year later. He came back as the Miz's hired gun, I guess, if you will, and then he went at, I can't speak. Blech. He went at it on his own. He had a rivalry with Seth Rollins, and because of that rivalry, he's now part of the Vision. But again, it's the same motive. It's the same motive when it comes to Bronson Reed. The same with Braun Breaker. Compete in a main event match or in a match on the card for Raw, for SmackDown, or even for the PLEs. Force a disqualification because they know that they're about to lose, and beat up everybody and stand tall. Literally, that's always the motive. And it's gotten to a point now where fans are sick and tired of it. But yes, Seth Rollins doesn't really seem to really give a good fuck because he's the world heavyweight champion, and he's aligned himself with Paul Heyman. And the weird thing is, Paul Heyman and actually his expressions have told the story that he doesn't want to be a part of Seth's group anymore. That he wants to be a wise man once again. He wants to go back to Roman Reigns because of the fact that it's the whole Vision storyline has gotten stale. And it's weird because with this group and with Seth Rollins as the World Heavyweight Champion, it's literally all eyes on Braun Breaker. Everybody believes that it's going to be Braun Breaker that's going to take the world title off of the hands of Seth Rollins, which honestly I can totally see it, but with the Royal Rumble coming up in a few months, which will take place in Riyadh. Apparently, it's all eyes on Sami Zayn, who's gonna win, and will challenge Seth Rollins for the world title at WrestleMania. Which, again, it's all eyes on Sami, but we will have to wait and see, because again, the Royal Rumble is still a few months away. And one thing that we've learned when it comes to the Vision, is that in spite of them being so predictable, it seems as if Seth Rollins doesn't even want the group anymore. It seems as if he's pretty much just given up on the group, and he's been more focused on the world heavyweight title. He's been doing things on his own time, at his own pace, and after what happened on SmackDown on SmackDown this past Friday, it seems as if that could potentially be the case where maybe it is time for WWE to completely scrap the whole storyline and just move on forward, which I can see it happen, but it comes down to who would be the one to turn babyface and stab Rollins in the back. My honest opinion, it's all eyes on Braun Breaker. I feel like if there was one person that could be the guy to take the title off of Rollins, it's definitely Braun Breaker. But the only downside to that is that Seth Rollins wants the best for Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. And apparently, apparently WWE wants to continue the storyline for a little bit longer, but the fans don't want to see it. So how do you avoid it? How does WWE avoid scrapping the whole storyline before WrestleMania? How do they avoid it? The answer is simple. Put the World Tag Team titles in the hands of Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. As long as WWE does that, everything should be pretty peachy. I mean, when you really look at it, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker have done so well as a tag team. They literally defeated the Usos at WrestlePalooza in an incredible match that ultimately became a street fight because LA Knight was just like, you know what? You want to use chairs? You want to use tables? Be my guest. Literally, LA Knight did not give a good fuck, and he allowed it to happen. So it ultimately became a street fight, and the Brawns picked up a huge win over arguably one of the greatest tag teams of all time. So again, the only way to avoid scrapping the whole storyline before it even ends in the first place is by putting the tag team titles onto Reed and Breaker and just have them go at it on their own for a little bit. Have them defend the titles on a tri-weekly basis, and then come Royal Rumble, have them drop the titles to a tag team like, say, the New Day. Breaker ends up winning. Breaker wins the Royal Rumble. He goes to Mania. He becomes champion, and now Rollins breaks up, and now the Raw after WrestleMania, Seth Rollins breaks up the division by attacking Breaker, and now it's all said and done. That, I feel like that's like the only way. But if WWE doesn't do that or come up with some other idea, then it's pretty obvious that the Vision will be no more, and Paul Heyman could ultimately become a wise man once again, or he could potentially become an advocate once again. Only time will tell. But I do want to get your guys' opinion on this whole ordeal. Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on this, and also comment below some ideas on how WWE can avoid scrapping the Vision storyline without having to break it up up sooner rather than sooner rather than later. So let me know down in the comments below, and that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more WWE topic videos in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.